Have you ever been scrolling through the Siren Network and wondered, who are these bitches? We're going to tell you today. We've got an episode all about us, which should be interesting. I'm Mallory Hagan.
And I'm Maggie Gehlsen-Burnett. This is Pretty Furious.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Mallory. We're going
I've
to get
seen a
to
lot
know
of
one
you this
another.
week.
It's like, I've seen you like literally every day this week.
I
I'm not
love that
complaining.
for us.
I know. It's been nice. We're going to get to know one another today. Well, the audience
think
is
we
gonna
know
get to
each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, I literally, last week when I posted that video about I was eating the Cheetos and I was like reading a comment from a woman who called me directionless. And you were like, I knew exactly where you were going with that. I was like, you know me well. You know
Just
me
in case
well.
anyone was wondering, the direction is ushering MAGA off a cliff.
That is my direction. That is my direction in life.
I was watching it on silent and I was like, I know what she's going to say.
I love that you're watching it without sound and you were like, I already know where this is going.
I could imagine you're like chomping on your Cheeto. I thought it was funny. I also just thought you looked like a sitcom character from the 90s. You had like your
yeah. My leopard heating pad
and your big glasses, and you're like
like 7 chins. Yeah, which is my favorite way to record videos. But I do have a lot of feelings now. I think about like as your platform grows, I don't know. I think you become more like. It's not that I like give a shit necessarily about, what people think of my appearance or whatever, but it's like you just become more aware of it. Like I think that because more people are dicks to you about your appearance. So I don't post as many videos anymore where I'm not like kind of put together in some way, but that one I had to. So,
you know what I always fall back on? Well, 2 things. One, I am a little bit more careful about the cover photo that I choose. I used to just not care and like throw something up on TikTok, but there are a few right-wing media networks here in Alabama that love to pull my clips and like post the craziest fucking screenshot from them. And they're like, she's deranged, the liberal leftist Miss America that lives here. But I do enjoy when someone's like, you're ugly. I'm like, bitch, no, I'm not. And I know I'm not because I won Miss America. Like I could be a lot of things.
Proof.
You can hate me if you want to, but I'm not ugly. Am I the prettiest Miss America that's ever lived? No. And that's okay. But I'm not ugly. Okay, so the whole premise of this episode was we were realizing we just kind of got plopped into the Siren. And no real introduction, no like, hey guys, we're adding Maggie and Mallory, Pretty Furious, to the lineup. It was just like, here's an episode. I think it was with Chad.
Right.
I don't even know who. So
yeah.
We thought maybe it would be a good time, now that we've been coming across your feeds for a little bit, for us to reintroduce ourselves. Allow me to reintroduce myself.
I was just going to say that.
Oh my name is Mal, M to the A-L. Yeah, so we're going to do that.
Perfect.
But before we do, we want to make sure you're following us at Pretty Furious Pod everywhere and on all platforms. And if you haven't written us a review, but you're our friend, no, you're not.
You're not. Write us a review.
I was actually on the phone with my best friend that lives in Copenhagen, and we don't talk as often because of the time zone. And she was like, okay, I was listening to your pod and I heard I was called out. And I was like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about you, but okay.
But if the shoe fits.
I literally said a hit dog will holler.
Yep.
If you haven't left a review, she said, we heard you. We're leaving a review.
I love that phrase. A hit dog will holler. A hit dog will holler.
A hit dog will holler.
Anywho, well, Mallory, yes, of course, be sure that you're following us, everybody, at Pretty Furious Pod. But on that note, do you have a headline from this week that has made you pretty furious?
What? Of course I do.
Do I have a headline?
Do I ever? Here's the thing, though. Here's what's crazy is since we last put out an episode, we've had the State of the Union. We've had all the counter State of the Union programming. We've had a million headlines and one, as per usual. But one thing that if you all are following the Seneca Project, which I hope you are, that's like my day job. We were talking about on the stakes. Maggie and I co-hosted the Seneca Project's live show this week. We were talking about that We were wondering what kind of temper tantrum Trump was going to throw because his approval ratings were down -27, which is the lowest in his presidential history going into the State of the Union address. Given the fact that we've got people throwing American citizens into unmarked vans and vehicles and our rights under attack and we're jailing journalists. Like, I mean, no surprise, right? But the big question going into the State of the Union was what will his retaliation be? Like, what kind of tantrum will he throw? And this week, the Washington Post reported that activists are coordinating with the White House on an executive order that claims China interfered with the 2020 election. And you may be thinking, why are we still talking about the 2020 election? And that's because Donald Trump wants to declare a national emergency. So it's an emergency because, quote unquote, China interfered. And they contend that national emergency would allow him presidential power over voting. So this would be pretty unprecedented, especially in modern times. They're circulating a 17-page draft executive order that claims that China interfered, and because of that, they'll be able to implement all of these election rules, and they'll have authority over elections. So think things like they wouldn't allow mail-in voting. They would require a voter ID on a federal level, so nationally. They would restrict or ban voting machines. You'd have to do it by hand. Like, there's like all these things that they could do and propose that they'll do, all because they know that they're on the path to losing the midterms.
That they're fucked. Yeah.
So that makes me pretty furious because in addition to the SAVE Act that we've talked about ad nauseum, they are also attempting to just flat out take over the elections. And I think the main concern I have then is if they do that, if they declare a state of emergency, he also would have the power, I believe he would have the power to say, oh, we're just actually not going to have an election. We're going to postpone it.
Right.
And we are in full-fledged dictatorship then. So,
Slay.
So fun.
A couple of positives I heard this morning on that note that I'll just interject here. So the first is that luckily for now, and I say for now as a very, very just cautionary statement. So don't let up on your senators, your congresspeople, is that the SAVE Act is effectively dead after a filibuster that happened. And so that is excellent news, of course, especially as we head into midterms. The midterms in Illinois are in 30 days from today, 20 days, something like that.
Yeah,
20 days. There we go.
We've got what, Texas and there's another state.
Texas is Tuesday. Yep. So some big states coming up for midterms. So that is excellent news. Love to hear it. Love to hear when Republicans fail. The other thing that I heard this morning is I was on a call and there are a lot of attorney generals and secretaries of state and a few law firms as well who are actively drafting their lawsuits that they will inevitably file once Trump does issue this executive order. So I think the good news is that there are people who are prepping for this. They know it's coming. He will lose if he tries to administer this executive order. It's not going to work. There's not a single judge in this country who is going to look at this and say, yep, that's good. Like it's just not a thing. But even when we talk about these things, it's like, it's the intention behind it, right? It is the premise of it all anyway. It's the concept that our voting rights are now the thing that's on the chopping block. And we all know that when voting rights are the thing that is on the chopping block, that is really where we've descended into a fucking dark place. So Yeah,
Well, let's be clear. We're in a dark place
well,
already.
we done been there. Yeah, but yeah, even darker. So yeah, I think don't let up on the pressure for your congresspeople. This is still a 5 alarm fire for sure.
For anybody who might be thinking that like they still are in support of these tactics to ensure that only American citizens are voting or whatever it is, I just want to say one more time that when you have winning policies, people will come out to vote for you. You do not have to disenfranchise voters. There are already enough scenarios in our world that disenfranchise people that would like to vote. You don't need to try any harder. So if you have a winning policy, you shouldn't need to do stuff like this to ensure that you actually win elections. And that goes for also all the crazy gerrymandering shit that's happening that we
Yeah.
have no longer talked about, but is still going on.
Hmm.
Just throwing that in there. So what headline
Yeah.
has made you pretty furious this week?
Mine is fresh, Mallory. Mine is fresh. It's from CNN this morning. Bill Clinton just testified earlier this morning. This quote from CNN says, Bill Clinton, I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong. And the former president told lawmakers that he only had a brief acquaintance with Epstein during his deposition. Um, Listen, I of course I am not Bill Clinton's biggest fan. All right. I have plenty to say about this man, and also not for nothing that this is a person who has who has lied under oath before.
Yeah, for sure.
So we know that. I just think this is such a shitty look for Democrats, for people who are really trying to make sure that accountability is the one thing that we get out of the release of the Epstein files. Of course, like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, well, we don't know, like, maybe he is telling the truth. Sure, maybe he is being totally truthful. I think odds are low. Like, I think if you've gone through any of the Epstein files that
Yeah.
mention Bill Clinton, you just know that that's like factually inaccurate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of pissing me off this morning. I'm just like,
Wait, why do you think it's a bad look for Democrats? Do you think it's a bad look that he's there being questioned at all, or you think it's a bad look that you think he's lying, or what do you think
I
is
think,
the bad part?
yeah, I think it's a bad look that I think he's lying, because
Mm,
the entire point of, and what the Clintons and what Democrats and what, people on the left have said since day one is that uh, there should be transparency in the entire release of these files. And so when we do that, when we offer the American people an opportunity to get a glimpse into, these depositions, into these hearings, and into people who knew this man, who knew Epstein, who knew
yeah.
what was going on, and then we fucking fumble it as if there are not people on the left who are also responsible for what has happened in
Hmm.
these files. It's just like, it just makes us look like idiots. Like, and it makes the
But
people who
is it not
said,
even? Is it not? Maybe I agree, but I think that might be unfair to place on the shoulders of the Democrats, because they can control Bill Clinton and they can
well,
control whether or
sure,
not
yeah,
he's lying.
yeah,
And I mean, what they can do is control the messaging, which I hope that they get a handle on, which is why are the Clintons there and not Donald Trump?
and not Donald Trump, right?
Why
Yeah,
and
exactly.
why is Hillary Clinton a person whose name is not in the files that we've
And
seen?
who has not met Epstein. Like, that was very clear in her testimony.
Which is all the more reason that I believe that you might be right that Bill's lying, because why would he bring his wife along?
Yeah. Why?
But
Like, what are we? Yeah.
the larger part of this conversation is, why are they there at all? I mean, yes, I guess they should be there. We want full transparency and accountability. Anybody who's involved in the Epstein files and who is guilty to any degree should be held accountable. But why are they there and not Donald Trump, not Melania?
Right. Yeah.
So
I think,
that part really bothers me, that anybody has the audacity. And on top of that, I do appreciate, I hope that it's true and it wasn't just them controlling the narrative. I appreciate that the Clintons demanded a public hearing, and they
Absolutely.
weren't
Yeah.
granted that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, again, that could just be them manipulating the media and messaging as well,
Who
but
knows? Yeah.
who knows? Yeah.
I think the whole like point of that I think a lot of people were trying to illustrate is that this is one of the major issues that we have on our plates right now that actually is a bipartisan effort. There are a lot of people on the right who are equally as committed to the full release of these files. So I think, it was like we finally had somebody who was a prominent figure on the left who was mentioned a lot in these files, who had the opportunity to do this deposition and do this hearing. And then now it's like there's people who are contemplating whether he lied, whether this is a truthful deposition or not. Like, and that I think just like fucking fumbles it for us. Like, because
Well,
this is the thing where it is both parties. It is people on the left who are in the files too. Of course, there are far more Republicans in them. Let's be clear.
well,
but yeah,
like, do we fully expect anyone to sit down and be like, yeah, I had sex with a 13-year-old girl?
I mean, yeah. Well,
No.
yeah. Like, let's also be clear. Like, if you think any old white guy is gonna get up on a stand and
No.
be like, "Yep, I raped a child," like, they're just not. Like, that's not
Yeah.
a thing. But I think for him to be like, I saw nothing, I did nothing, like closing my eye, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
God damn it, man. Like,
At
so
least
we'll see.
At least say I was with him. I was on his island. I was on his
Exactly.
plane.
Yeah.
We did fraternize.
Fraternize. Yep.
What's the word?
Isn't that it? Fraternize, right?
Fraternize? I don't know. We did, and in that time, I did not do anything or see anything, etc. Yeah, that would be the most ideal response, I think. But I guess we'll never know.
Okay, so Mallory, we're gonna allow the audience to get to know you and myself a little bit more. So I have a few questions for you, and as I understand it, you might have a few for me.
I do.
And we're gonna just ping pong a little bit here. Before we get into the questions that I have for you, why don't you
Okay.
give the audience a brief kind of like overview of growing up in Alabama? Then you were in New York. Now you're back in Alabama. Like, give us the kind of the general rundown of your life.
God, the
4
list is
hours
long.
later.
4 hours later. I grew up in the Auburn-Opelika area in Alabama, which is central and right on the border of Georgia. I grew up with very young teen parents and was kind of just had that like normal small town all-American life with teen parents.
Slay.
Slay. Who are amazing human beings. My mom, for the majority of my childhood, was a 2-time business owner. So she had 2 separate businesses. She worked from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And my dad has always been in some capacity pretty much in sales. So that was sort of our family dynamic as I grew up, and grew up dancing. My mom owns a dance studio. So I participated in show choir and theater and the Miss Alabama organization, which if you are interested, we're going to do a deep dive on Miss America soon. But that's how I got my start in that world. And when I was like 19, I had gone to school at Auburn for a year, and I felt very out of place. I did not know what I wanted to do with myself or my life. So I said, fuck it. And I moved to New York. With like no money, no job, no place to live. And yeah, I lived in New York City for 8 years. Over the course of living there, I worked in service industry, as one does, and decided to compete in the Miss America organization again so I could go back to school. So I competed in Miss America so I could pay for my education at the Fashion Institute of Technology, where I studied advertising and marketing. Then I won Miss America. Plot twist. Just kidding. Everybody knows that. And I traveled the country that year as Miss America, came back to New York, moved to Los Angeles, came back to New York. And then I had a mental breakdown, as also one does. And so I moved home in 2016, started working as a news anchor at a local NBC affiliate. And then I was tapped to run for Congress. So I ran for Congress in Alabama in 2018. Then I worked on Bloomberg's presidential campaign. Then I ran for the state house in 2022. And in the midst of running for the state house, I met my now husband. So I live in Huntsville,
Pew, pew,
Alabama.
pew.
Pew, pew, pew. I have recently gotten married and had a baby, and I currently work in political communications as a consultant. So I have candidates and PACs as my clients, and I love being on Pretty Furious Pod. That was the shortest version I could give you of how we
That
got to
was
where we are
so
today.
concise. I am so impressed by that. I
Oh,
feel like
thanks.
I really don't know how you did that so
I
quickly.
I am embarrassed by all the twists and turns. Although this
I don't
past
think you
week,
should be.
this
Yeah.
past week I was on another podcast. Our friend Alan, who was one of our first guests on this show, she has a new podcast called Learn Too Late, and we were talking about how, like, isn't it better to try the things and do the things and make the changes in your life than it is to stay stuck and complacent? So maybe I shouldn't be embarrassed. You're right.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you should be. I think it's
How
a
about
very cool
you?
story.
Thanks.
Yeah, girl. Well, I grew up in Eastern Iowa in a very small rural farming community. I'm the baby of 5 children. My oldest sibling is 15 years older than me. It's 15 years, 13 years, 10 years, and then 6 years between me and my siblings. So yeah, I grew up, very similar to you, like very standard middle class suburban upbringing. My mom was a dental hygienist for 50 years, and then she retired 2 years ago. And my dad is a voice actor, but worked in radio prior to that for about 25 years.
That's why Maggie has the most satisfying radio voice.
Well, what's hilarious is that I met my husband that way as well. So my dad worked with my father-in-law in radio, and they became really good friends. We stayed family friends for a really long time, and then my husband and I got together that way. So he also has a really nice voice. So yeah, he's got some pipes. I did my undergrad at the University of Alabama. It's my obligatory roll tide there. I was a Crimsonette there, so I grew up dancing, baton twirling. That's what led me into pageantry. I competed in Junior Miss Iowa, Teen Miss Iowa, Miss Iowa. I was in that system for a really long time, for about 12 years. I was first runner up to Junior Miss Iowa. I was first runner up to Teen Miss Iowa. And then I was first runner up to Miss Iowa.
Boy, don't I know how that feels.
So I have been a first runner up a lot. Yeah, got my degree at Alabama, exercise physiology. Yeah, and then I moved back to Iowa. I was like, I have no fucking clue what I want to do. I started a health coaching business. I was in the process of competing for Miss Iowa. And then 2018 happened. I was first runner up to Miss Iowa, and my whole life kind of like sort of fell apart. I broke up with the guy I'd been dating for 5 years. Quit all my jobs, like began working as a barista, just like crazy shit, shit that you do.
You also had a mental breakdown.
Yeah. Like when you have a fucking mental breakdown.
You were just 2 years after me.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just was like, I just had no fucking clue, like what was next for me. So I too did what you did, Mallory, and I packed my bags and I said, I'm moving to New York.
To New
And
York.
so I did the same thing.
Maybe New York really is full of people who are crazy.
Yeah,
It's not.
It's
not. It's one of the best places ever.
It's the best city in the world. But yeah, I packed up. I had never been to New York. I just like got on a plane and was like, bye, I'm leaving.
Wait, you had never even been there?
Nope.
Wow. New York is very hard, even if you know what you're doing.
It's fucking nuts, dude. And when I first moved to New York, I had like $700 to my name. I moved in with a friend who like lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, but had a big enough room to where she had a queen bed and then also had like a twin day bed. And I slept on that twin day bed for like 3 months until I could afford to get my own place with a roommate. So yeah, that was bonkers, like literally living in the same room as somebody. It was just
Maggie,
fucking
I had
insane.
no idea how similar our stories are.
Yeah, crazy.
I lived with a friend of a family friend in a studio apartment, like
That's
all
insane.
the way out in Brooklyn, like towards the very last stop of the F train.
That's right. You said where you lived, and I was like, the only time I've ever been like that far in Brooklyn was like I went and hooked up with this guy one time who lived in Bed-Stuy, and I was like, this is far
No,
as fuck.
this is further than Bed-Stuy. And
Yeah.
and I actually lived in Windsor Terrace later. I moved around a lot, but yeah. Anyway,
But
sorry,
yeah.
I had no idea. You had
Yeah.
$700. I had $900 to my name. Like,
Slay. Yeah.
I was
Which
like,
is
I'm gonna do this. We're gonna make it work.
which is like nothing in New York City. Like that lasts you
Or
like 4 days.
anywhere now.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, was out there, and then was planning to audition for the Rockettes. I worked with a dance teacher pretty intensely while I was out there, and then COVID happened, and I was like, okay, well, that just kind of like fucked up all my plans. So my parents were like, you're coming home during this like, little crazy time. We thought it would be a couple of weeks, so I left New York on March, I think 16th of 2020. I taught the last solid core class that ever happened at Solid Core FIDI before they shut down for like 9 months. It was crazy.
Wow.
And then, came home and was home for 4 months. And in that time, started dating my now husband and all of the things. Moved to St. Louis with him, into a studio apartment. We got a corgi. It was just it was chaos. It was pure chaos. Yeah. And then we were in St. Louis, and then bought a house, got married, moved to Peoria, Illinois, where my husband is from originally. And now I'm doing content creation full time and making fun of Republicans online. That's the short version. Crazy.
Who would have thought while you were twirling your baton at the University of Alabama that this is what you would be doing?
It's wild to think about. I think especially having done pageants for so long too, I think you get really comfortable like showing a version of yourself to the world. And I think if I had told Maggie 5 years ago, like, hey, this is what you're going to be doing with your life in 5 years.
You'll say fuck online a lot.
Yeah. I would have been like, what? Like, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's really, I think it feels very like affirming that I'm doing like the work that I'm doing now. So yeah, like I didn't have to win a title to like do all of this. So
back when I still participated in things Miss America related, I would host a lot of competitions, locals, and one of my favorite things to say to people on stage is they're standing there waiting to see who won, which is such a nerve-wracking space to be. And if you don't know anything about the Miss America program or what it takes to get on stage and do those things, that's a whole different conversation, but it's hard. And it takes a lot of like self-reflection, and, a lot of people place a lot of their worth in whether or not they succeed in this program. And so I always love telling people, being on this side of it, I'm just so happy to let you know you don't need to win any of this stuff to do these things. Like, if you want to go out and change the world, or you want to go out and get that job, or you want to network, like you can do all of that without any of these titles. And it's really satisfying to know that like it sure is helpful. It can be, but you don't have to have it in order to succeed. And you've proven that. And quite frankly, you're probably a lot more mentally healthy since you.
For sure. I mean, like that, I think back to that time in my life a lot, and I'm like, I often reference like, like BC, like it was like before 2018 and then after 2018. And I do think that was really like such a pivotal moment for me. I don't think that there's kind of the famous saying of like, well, you don't learn anything when you win, you only learn when you lose. And I think that's very true. Like it taught me so much. I certainly would not be probably with my husband today if it weren't for that. I don't even want to think about like if I had stuck with that partner at that time. I'm like, holy fuck, the amount of therapy. I already needed a lot of therapy, and like the amount I would have needed had that all worked out would be not great. So yeah, I'm actually very grateful in hindsight that like none of that transpired the way I wanted it to at the time. So Mallory, a question I have for you that I was thinking of today. I want to know, what is your biggest ick right now? I just am really curious about what drives you fucking bonkers. What is like you like audibly gag when you're like, ew.
God, what is my biggest ick?
Maybe let's also reframe it as like, what's your biggest ick in other people? Like, what about
Hmm.
other people drives you nuts?
A lot of things, just so we're clear. I think it's really important now that people kind of know our background bio, just the touch of it. Before I even answer that question, I want people to know that both of us are Enneagram 8s. And everything about our life stories should tell you that. I'm just
Is
gonna just briefly, an Enneagram 8 is known as the challenger, and we're characterized by powerful, assertive, and direct, like a powerful, assertive, and direct nature. We are driven by the need for control, self reliance, and a desire to protect our inner circle. We do not like feeling vulnerable, and we really don't like being controlled. Hence, neither of us wants to do anything that society tells us we're supposed to do. We will go be moving to New York with no money. You will not be telling us that we can't.
fully.
It's literally like our core fear as human beings is to be controlled.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's real. Yeah, which I think is why I think makes a lot of sense in terms of how we have like both ended up in maybe in the marriages we have and like in the life circumstances that we have, the job, certainly the jobs we have. I tried
100%.
corporate. Oh God, no.
No.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
also just have like well, maybe this is my ick, so I'll save it. But I want to just point out as well that some of our strengths are being decisive, protective, courageous, loyal, and direct. And I think a lot of our life stories also point in that direction. Courage being at the top of it. I literally have a tattoo that says like be courageous. I just
Oh,
think
I
it's
like
so
that.
important to like
Yeah.
step out and just have the courage to do the thing, whatever it
Do
is.
the
So
thing. Yeah, I agree.
my biggest ick is people who lack common sense. And truly
Fully.
in any scenario. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fully.
Like I fully cannot be friends with or be around people that I'm like, I don't know how you survive on a day-to-day basis.
Fully.
I
Yeah, I
have
get
no
that.
patience for those people. I just can't function in those spaces. That may seem, I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe
I
you're
don't
looking
think
for something funnier than that. I just can't. I can't be around
no,
people with
I
no common
actually
sense.
I think that you reading the entire like Enneagram 8 description and then giving that answer is like probably the most Enneagram 8 thing you could have done in that moment. Like, so I think that's actually perfect. That was very chef's
But
kiss. You
if we
just really
want to,
wrapped that up
if you
nicely.
want like something that people do that I'm like, ah, gross. It's talking
Also
with your
that.
mouth full.
Oh, that's a
And
good one.
there are varying degrees of it. There are varying degrees. But full on, you've got a full chewed up bite in your mouth and you're just like having a conversation and I'm looking at all of that. It's the one thing that I'm like, oh my God, could we stop? Could you stop doing that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
I
what's
don't do
yours?
people chewing. Yeah, it's like for me it's like the number one. I they call that something where it's like you have an auditory like response and it's really
Phobia.
common in people who are like neurodivergent or have ADHD. And I like Ty will be sitting next to me on the couch and we'll be eating dinner or whatever and and he won't be doing anything wrong. Let's be clear. Like he will have like his mouth is closed. He's not doing any like whack as fuck like situation and I'm like you need to get the fuck away from me. Like I'm not doing this. Like I just hate it. Like if you ugh, oh my
Yeah.
god, drives me nuts.
No. Totally understandable. We have a kid who loses his mind at his brother. He's like, stop chewing like that.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. I totally get that. Like I literally yes, I am on whatever child that is, I'm on their team. Like absolutely. Makes me crazy.
Okay, if your personality had a warning label, what would it say?
Oh fuck. A warning label? Oh god. Probably like step back like just like get the fuck away like I just feel like
Unapproachable.
yeah like I'm really intense and I that still is something I'm not completely confident in. Like I'm a very intense person. I'm very intense in everything that I do. There is no in between. It's 0, it's 100. There like that's just the way I am. I've always been that way my whole life. And for a lot of time, I felt a lot of shame around that. And now I'm kind of getting into this space where I'm more comfortable with it, but I do recognize that it makes a lot of other people like pretty uncomfortable a lot of the time. So I have to still be like very just cognizant of like audience, like who's my
Yeah.
audience and who am I
Hmm.
speaking to. But yeah, I'm a very like I would say I'm just an aggressive person. Like I if you say something that like pisses me off, I will let you know. I will yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. That reminds me. My husband will often say, and it's just like it's just a response that he has. He doesn't mean anything by it, but he'll say like, "Oh, do you want this?" And I'll say, "No, no, thank you." And he goes, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "If I'm sure about something, trust me, I know. You don't have to ask me if
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Don't
I
ask
got
me.
it." But like,
Mhm.
it just cracks me up because I'm always like, if I don't want that, I'll tell you.
I
And
will
if I
let you
do
know.
want that, I'll
Mhm.
tell you. If
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
upset, I'll tell you. Like
Mhm.
everybody will
Yeah.
know where they stand.
That's I feel like my parents would probably listen to this and laugh because like as a child it was like, you know, I had a lot of outbursts like that were in very odd circumstances. Like I had a lot of outbursts when I was like at baton practice if I couldn't catch a trick. And I look back now and I'm like a lot of that was like just because I was just so intent like was just like wanted things so badly, wanted control, wanted to like, feel yeah, a sense of control. And so yeah, I'm just a very intense person. So, um, okay, Mallory, a question I have for you is what is something, maybe a brief like sentence or phrase that you would tell 25-year-old you?
I would tell 25-year-old me that your 30s really are that much better. And just
Yeah.
get through your 20s, you'll be just fine. My 20s were absolutely
Pits.
horrendously chaotic. Awful. Just full of all sorts of crazy things that most people can't even imagine, even after they hear me tell them. Right. So I think I would just go back. You know what's funny is I remember turning 25. I remember my 25th birthday.
Mm.
I remember I was with my parents and the person I was dating at the time. My birthday is December 23rd. So either it's like I'm surrounded by my entire family or like we do something quiet because it's December 23rd. And this, I think, was a year that we just did something quiet and we were getting home and it was like 9:30 from dinner. And mind you, I had lived in New York from 18 to 24. I was used to like
Yeah.
throwing, going out and having big adventures and like all these things. And we were getting home at 9:30 on my 25th birthday. And I was like, I'm getting old. It's 9:30. I hate turning 25.
Oh my God.
And now I'm like, man, you couldn't pay me to go back to my 20s. You couldn't pay
No.
me. You
Yeah.
couldn't pay me enough money to go back to my 20s.
Same. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
What would you tell your 25-year-old self?
shit was gnarly. Yeah, I turned 25 during COVID. So um I think I would tell myself like that the idea I had about like giving less of a fuck about things was the right track. Like that is keep going on that track. I had a lot of instances where I was like giving less fucks is like my life mantra. Like if you care less, it just like opens up so many doors
Which
for
is
you.
hard for people who want to be in control, just so we're clear. So
Yeah. Oh
like
God.
that being a life motto or mantra is actually quite difficult for us.
Yeah, I think like it's especially hard for women too. Women just naturally want to like we care so much about what everyone thinks and what everyone wants and we want to please and then that gets compounded if you do something like pageantry or if you do something that's competitive with other women more broadly. So, yeah, I think that's what I would tell her is like keep going down that path because that is the one thing I will say that was interrupted a lot in my late 20s. I kind of kept having to learn that lesson over and over again like stop caring what other people fucking think of you. And it is something that like I
Yeah.
am 30 and a half and I feel like I finally have like sort of got a handle on that. So it's like it took a lot of trial and error to understand that. So okay, my next question for you, Mallory, is we have a fuck, marry, kill scenario here.
Okay.
And the three people are fuck, marry, kill Hassan Piker, Gavin Newsom, and Jake Tapper.
Oh. None of
Have a great time.
God. I would have to go, the first one would maybe have to be Jake Tapper, get that out of the way. And then we would go Gavin Newsom, and then we would absolutely Hassan Piker.
Wait, so you would, let me just be sure I've got this right. You would fuck Jake Tapper, you would marry Gavin Newsom, and you would kill Hassan Piker. She goes, that's right.
I do think. I mean, let's be honest. Like, none of it is ideal.
No,
you
fully.
asked the question.
Terrible group, terrible lineup.
There was no right answer here.
Oh, wow. No, I know.
Why? What would you do?
I'm just surprised.
Would you reverse Hassan and Jake Tapper?
I think so. Yeah.
There's only one clear answer for marriage, just so
absolutely
we're understanding.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's definitely Gavin Newsom.
You would reverse them.
And that's
you would
unfortunate.
kill Jake Tapper.
I would.
I hope this doesn't get us flagged on some algorithm. I hope the FBI doesn't show up.
And I would kill Jake Tapper. Because the thing is that like Hassan Piker is, listen, for all that I think he has like kind of gotten right about the left and progressives and all of that, that's a whole other topic for a different day. He is still a fuckboy at his core, and you can't fucking tell me any different. That man is it. I have been with every fuckboy on the planet, and that man is a fuckboy. He sucks.
But that's why I'm like, ugh, get out of here.
But he also is really good looking, so I'm sort of like, well, I've done it before.
Well, I don't know. Okay, anyway, moving on. Next question. We've spent way too much time on that.
Anywho.
Tell me who is someone who has changed your life besides your husband?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Someone who has changed my life. I mean, obviously I'm inclined to give all of the like familial examples of like, you know, my parents, my grandmother, you know, my siblings for sure. Someone who has changed my life. Gosh, that's so hard because I do actually consider myself like a person who has like truly the best people in my like circle, in my inner circle. So I want to, of course, name all of them. I'm really inclined to name I'll say my best friend Kylie and I had a very like interesting start to our friendship. She hated me in high school. Fun fact. And she didn't like me because I actually I had a propensity at the time to date a lot of the boys at her high school, and they did not like that I was coming in and dating their men.
Yeah, coming in and dating the boys at their school.
Yeah. But then Kylie and I had an instance like at a party when we were juniors and became like really close, and then ended up going to Alabama together. Both from Eastern Iowa, went to Alabama together. So and she's just like always been in my corner, man. Like we have both changed a lot, especially in the last 5 years. And she's one of those people who's like incredibly loyal like me. So I really value that in another person. Mm-hmm. And she also is just like, I think has seen like every part of me and still is like, like I'm going to stick around, you know? And I think those are the types of people that really makes such an impact on you as a person, is like the people who see all the really bad shit and are still like, I'm going to hang out.
Still worthy of being loved. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So her and my therapist, Christine, love you, girl. She's great. So yeah. Okay, my last question for you, Mallory, is what is something that you believe is wholeheartedly worth the large monetary investment?
Wholeheartedly worth the large monetary investment.
Yes, so something expensive that you find completely worth it Like every dollar, it has been worth it. It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be whatever. Yeah.
I'm actually inclined to say that one thing that I think is expensive that I think is worth it in every person's life, so not just mine, is investment in some skill or talent or hobby. So for me, that investment was my parents investing in dance and costumes and trips and all of that, because I think access to the arts in particular, but really most hobbies of some capacity or things that you're investing in skill wise, and I think you would maybe agree with me, most of them get you
100%.
out of your comfort zone and take you out of the town that you live in and expose you to people that you didn't know existed or places that you would have never gone otherwise. So
Yeah.
I can pinpoint every piece of my life trajectory, or the through line back to dance is there. Because of dance, I traveled to New York when I was a teenager. Because of that, I saw that the world was bigger than Opelika, Alabama.
Yeah.
And because of those travels, I was interested in other things and cultures and people. And I mean, the list goes on. So I think if you're a person or a parent who's looking at something like dance and thinking, oh my God, I'm spending so much money on these costumes and competitions and all of that, it's so worth it for the development of the human that you're raising. And I feel that wholeheartedly, that expense, I'm so glad my parents invested in, even though that's not what, we ended up doing professionally.
Yeah. Totally.
It has wholly shaped who we are as individuals. And I think that it's worth every penny.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, I can trace every single part of my life back to, like, all the good parts for sure, back to dance, baton twirling, even
All the
Kylie.
things you get interested in. Yeah. Your
Yeah,
friends. Like
my best friend
all of
Kylie.
it.
The only way I met her was because I was taking dance at a studio that was in her town at the time. Like,
that
just shit
crazy?
like that, where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, like it all
Yeah.
kind of traces back.
It really
So,
does.
yeah.
My last question for you before we head out is,
Sure.
what is the hill you will die on?
God.
There are so many.
I have, god damn, dude. I can't believe you just hit me with that as our last question. I have literally so fucking many hills. Okay, a hill that I will die on is I believe that every man who voted other than Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election is a walking red flag. And I say this because my husband voted for Hillary. And at the time, I draw this parallel. I was dating a man who I thought I was going to marry who voted third party in that election. And I think so much of what we know about misogyny, about feminism, about what it means to actually respect women, about what it means to, like, what boundaries you have for yourself as a man, about women and about how you treat them, and all of that. I think all of that can be traced back to the first woman who ran for president.
I think that you might be right and have opened up a can of worms.
Yes. So I would do an entire episode on that. Like, that is a hill I will die on. That is for sure. So,
Well,
and I don't think Hassan Piker voted for Hillary. So,
all right. See you next week.
all right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.